Hello, and welcome to another run. So, yeah, last time was saying something along the lines of, oh, I'll totally do a pacifist run. I'll do that later. That turned out to be A, boring as hell to watch, and B, the routing needed some work. Basically, there were, I wound up doing most of Chapter 1, and then I realized that I was basically recording a black screen again. Then I went back and redid the settings, and whatever. It's a whole thing. So, point being, normal Ironman run. Again, that's what we're doing. So, this first part was pretty much just introducing the team, more or less, because I've gone a few parts in. I'm going to be going, pretty much just skipping ahead to the end of Chapter 1, because that's really where the runs start, more or less. I don't really expect anyone to run into any issues whatsoever up until then. But I just figured I'd at least shove one part in here for the hell of it. So yeah, got Pants here. Basically, he was built to be a strength character, just strength, agility, and strength and vitality were really what I was going for. I just wanted him to be a relatively heavy hitter, just in case he has to solo stuff. You know, last time that didn't exactly go so hot. Any darn ways. Yeah, so spear guy. Two heavy spear bodyguards over here, kind of like last time, except they both have spears now. So this one's more towards agility, this one's more towards the caster side of things. But yeah, they're heavy spears, so they should be pretty helpful overall. Basically same rough weight on all these guys. And then the heavies over here, with Voltaire, turns out the main thing with Voltaire is just a 2-point difference on RT. But yeah, so we got Lavitz here. He's one of the named characters. We got Voltaire and got Spencer, one of the starters. All of them are pretty decent. Just kind of a decent mix of different stats, so... yeah, they're all good at what they do. Vice gave him a two-hander as always. We got Sansa and Sarah here as the archers. Got Minerva and Arnott, who I wanted to build with knives this time around. Because just basically giving them counter and giving them the whole thing of, I just noticed the sound is crazy low. Bam. There we go, fixed it. But yeah, giving them counter and that sort of thing, really useful as far as knives go, because then they can basically defend themselves, get a bind off on somebody. Their int is high enough that they don't generally need the accuracy bonus from the other daggers, but they do get a bit of a damage bonus off them. Generally speaking, I just kind of want to see how this will work. Anyway. It's actually funny because you can actually make a double dagger build viable with casters now because of the parrying dagger. They can basically just, you know, give them a parry dagger in one hand, a regular dagger in the other hand. It's like, yeah, check it out. 2 knives. Went for 3 clerics. I actually made Canopus a cleric this time around. Yeah. Didn't even give him the healing skill. He's just there for hammers. A, because I wanted to have a flying guy who did the whole hammer time thing, and also because reasons. Also because actually, no, I just figured it was a good idea to have somebody that can fly do that job. You know, maybe it'll be something useful. Just maybe. Donalto is actually the one that survived this time, not Felicia, so no Felicia this time, at least not yet. Cashua is annoying as always. And then got Crushinator, who, yeah, they're the hitter who hits things with hittingness. But yeah, and I figure 6 characters with spears, that's definitely bound to accomplish something. So, for the sake of showing off here, and just go ahead and do Golborza for this party. Now we're going to keep Crushinator. We're actually going to get the casters out of here because we only have 8 slots. Gonna move you back here, name one of them, move you over here, do one of them, get you here, give Voltaire, Voltaire's just gonna be here for both the knights. Have those guys in there. That looks alright. Pretty sparse starting, wow. Way to miss words everywhere. Sparse, sturdy party over here, but, oh well. I kind of wish they'd be able to start with 12 from the very start, but it wouldn't really work balance-wise. Then again, if there was a... oh man, a weird dream down the line of, like, whenever this whole MIPS thing is discovered. By the way, I'm not even counting the the 3 extra units we're getting. Basically completely outnumber and out everything these guys. Hey look, it's the Emily. But you know, dream down the line of just like, you start every party with 12 units, but they get reinforcements and everything, and oh my god, that... wow. There you go. Good example of early casters hitting like hell. I should probably finally get to that part now of mentioning what the rules for this run are, because the point of it, as per usual, was to test something, and that was basically to see if a one-life thing was viable for people. So if everyone was essentially just reduced to 1 heart, more or less. So, if at any point anybody loses a life, they are kicked out and presumed to be dead. They don't get any skill scavenging because... I don't know, I feel like skill scavenging is kind of unnecessary with the mod now. Just because everyone learns all their stuff pretty quick and it doesn't really make sense on paper. Granted, it's an unnecessary effort to remove it, but I just don't feel like it makes sense, personally. That's just personal taste, so... Yay, we get AI now. And don't worry, Denim, they'll totally give up because you told them to. Decided to make Denim a knight this time, because I want him to be tanky as hell. Actually, most of the time now, his vitality is high enough that the starting enemies just completely ignore him. He's got the stat equivalent of raking armor, actually. It was the first time I went and actually looked up what those points did, and I believe one of those cards actually gives an extra 4 to vitality, which is just... wow. I'm not going to be playing with the whole stat cards do nothing thing. Or I might. I don't know. Do I have that on? Okay, hang on. That thing's not pulling it up. Cheats. Do we have the unsheet on? I think I was doing that without because it's a little bit of an extra process to turn on cheats on the PSP. So many cheats. So many cheats. No tarot stat bonus. So yeah, that's over here. It's not on. I'm gonna try it without it for once. He basically was gonna include that in the hard mode version down the line. Personally, you know what? Actually, no, that is getting turned on. It's kind of a personal taste thing, but... no, I'm gonna be going through... brain. Figure out how to brain first. Okay, I figured out how to brain. 1 point is typically not going to make a whole world of difference, but still. I just kind of like the fact that they stay at their base stuff, you know? But then will I turn on the PSP? Yes, I will. Okay. There we go. Nice thing about Canopus in this class is, yeah, he still does a pretty decent amount of damage with rocks. I think that's why he was talking about removing rocks, potentially. Because Rakes was saying that a lot of ranged options were being removed from characters that didn't have reasonable ranged options. Like, for example, why would you ever have somebody chuck a rock? And I think it's because nobody ever goes and uses the wake-up item, which is absolutely hilarious. I think I used it exactly once, or like twice or so. And it's funny as all hell, but, you know, one of those kinds of things. Like, man, that's hilarious. I don't know if we used it, though. But no, I'm pretty sure it's for the sake of doing something else. And also possibly because the ranged counters broke that one time. Though I don't think that applies to rocks. I'm gonna stop theorizing stuff that I have absolutely no logical, like, brain route to, I think. That might be a better idea. Oh well. Oh. Interesting, so some stuff happened in the background here. Dang. That's just sad. Little one went off and got even more shots today. Poor little girl has been through a lot today. Oh well, moving on. So, like I was saying, bunch of new crap coming out, and it's all awesome and amazing. And siege bows are getting nerfed because they need it, and ranged weapons in general are getting nerfed. Because, once again, they're kind of creeping up there in terms of just outright annihilation potential, as you saw there. Those bows are hitting super hard, and they shouldn't quite hit hard yet. Well, okay, early game, it makes sense for bows to hit hard because it's the same thing that kind of applies to a lot of stuff, and why a lot of your one-handed weapons and stuff do a lot of damage. Because you don't have any proper, like, heavy armor available this early on, which is fine, because, you know, reasonably that makes sense. Like, you're basically just a bunch of upstarts fighting a bunch of just, like, rando scouts and stuff that are just kind of hanging out. You haven't really become an actual group to be reckoned with yet. I mean, they can become knights in title. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're actually any good. Because, despite the whole, you know, fight between historically who was good or who wasn't, off of general, you know, people classes and whatever else, it's like, you know, it still came down to the individual in a lot of cases. Like, for example, some people were given the whole title and went through all their training, but they sloughed through it, and, you know, maybe they weren't super into it, or they were just massive douches or something, and then you get other people, like, there were a bunch of stories written about this French guy that just basically was so serious into training with his armor all the time, that the guy was basically just going and crossfitting in full plate. Like, oh man, this guy just sort of goes on friggin' jogs and does parkour and crap in his armor, and we're not entirely sure how he's doing that. Which, to be fair, it should be mentioned that, yeah, I think I brought this up last time too, but, yeah, the stuff isn't, like, it doesn't turn you into a friggin' rock. Well, most of them didn't anyway. Some of the heavy cavalry armors were beefy as all crap, like, to the point of actually being restrictive, but that's because, you know, their whole role was just like, you run into that at full speed and make sure you hurt that thing more than you do yourself. So, you know, like, heavy cavalry armors, that was their whole shtick, which, by the way, no, they didn't need cranes. That was one guy that was lazy as hell to actually get on a horse. Whatever. But no, what was I getting at here? Point is, you know, it's been mentioned several times, but it's like, it's slightly heavier than modern equipment and all that, just like everything that's carried on the backpack, but would have generally felt lighter because it's essentially distributed at the belt line as opposed to, you know, hanging off your back and that kind of thing. Which, yeah, both are useful for different things, but misconceptions and stuff, and it's kind of hilarious because I guess European stuff's kind of going through the same thing Japanese stuff went through for a while. Ooh, finally a heavy axe. Awesome. Wait a second. Heavy axe. You guys scaling or something? No, they're 4s. Odd. Didn't think they would get heavy axes this early. I thought that was a level 6 item. Something like that. Oh no, it probably got moved around. It probably got moved. Yeah, stuff's gonna come up a fair bit, but stuff's gonna generally be a little bit on the confusing side because I'm going through different routes and stuff. Not to mention going through different versions of the game and stuff and comparing things, and I'm not the best person for comparing stuff, I'll be totally honest, because I have a tendency to just get completely engrossed into one thing and then end up confusing it with something else, and whatever. Stuff happens. Alright. Like, for example, I was thinking to do the whole Cressida thing. At this rate, I'm gonna have to hire a whole mess of Galaxani dudes, because we're just kind of clawing through everyone here. I guess that guy dropped a longsword, which, yes, that is a two-hander. That is absolutely what it should be. Because they were two-handers. Appreciate the little historical nods, you know? Like, not to be that guy. I'm just saying, just appreciate it. Like, it wasn't historically accurate for this particular type of grass to be grown right here. And, like, no, I don't know a lot of it, but as I heard a term the other day, it's just like, no, a historical enthusiast, not a historian. Like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, personally, my favorite thing was just always knowing how they did stuff back then. Like, not so much in terms of, like, politics or whatever else, but just, like, how stuff worked in general society, and, you know, how certain things were accomplished. Like, how exactly did they set up their stoves and kitchen stuff? You know, how did certain military technology works? Did they ever actually take down walls? And, you know, generally speaking, that's one of those things where, no, most of the time, they really would not try to break a wall, because even if it comes down, there's still a pile of stuff there. You know, you didn't really accomplish anything other than break the place that you're trying to get into that you probably want to keep running because of, you know, the whole thing of there might be a counterattack and that sort of thing. Yeah, well. I think it's fair to say whenever movies got involved, there was often a whole thing of logic flying out the window. Actually, one hilarious thing. There was this movie a while ago called Kingdom of Heaven. I couldn't really figure out what the hell was going on when I watched it the first time, and then I was watching this historical analysis of it a while ago. And, you know, I couldn't understand why people were saying, you know, it was a bad movie. I'm like, I remember people doing sword fights and stuff. That's all I really remember of that thing. And, wow. Everything was wrong with it. Like, they got absolutely nothing of anything right whatsoever. It was like, yeah, this guy was off doing a completely other thing. None of these groups actually ever got together and agreed with each other. All these fights were for completely different reasons. All their stuff is from completely different centuries. like they managed to just go completely for the gold of getting everything wrong. But yeah. Oh, well, you know, while this is kind of a short start to this whole thing, I'll mention, you know, I'm going to be skipping through the beginning stuff, like I said, mostly because time is on a little bit of a crunch lately. Basically, there's been a whole preparation for this whole birthday thing with my family and all that, and not to mention, like, chaos of helping with relatives, kids, and stuff, so this whole thingamajig, like, to the point of, like, literally almost the entirety of every day is spent on chaos control. Just all the time. Which is fine, you know. Such is life. Alright. Can't leave them. Also, because Sistine is actually competent, we don't have to leave them. Watch this be a rip run right here, as they roll a bunch of 25% and just instantly slaughter her. Hopefully not. But yeah, so I'm going to be skipping through a bunch of this stuff to try to get the thing running and hopefully get some parts out before leaving on a, well, probably the first vacation in a very, very, very long time. So, that'll be something. Hopefully can catch up on some work while on vacation. Yes, I'm looking forward to work stuff on vacation. I should mention at this point, that seems weird given the context right now. But most of what I do is just like, you know, find available thing to go and sell, and then like go sell the thing, and then just generally predict where stuff's gonna go. And kinda sit and twiddle thumbs and don't go insane in the meantime. Just like, do too much, and suddenly everything goes haywire. So, it's, yeah, it's a weird one to explain. Okay, Sistina, what the hell are you? Okay, she might actually get herself killed here, which would be a weird way to end this run on the very first part. Right, I'm thinking you are just gonna run up and save her bacon. You're probably our fastest runner right now, and hopefully that guy will have moved by then. Okay. Archers hopefully should be able to take out Mr. Eddard here. Hopefully Sustina will grow a brain and go backwards. One thing that I hope will be solved in the future is the AI and just their tendencies to do certain things. But I actually don't want to move him there. I want to move pretty much anyone with a shield there to push her forward, so Denim will do. Yep. Perfect. Alright, let's get her out of here. Get out of here. What are you thinking? Oh, evac complete. Some kind of military terms and numbers right now. I don't remember. I haven't watched any of those in a while. But, yeah, I love that system. So much. But I feel kind of bad for my friggin' vanilla Ironman runs in this game. I've started so many of them, and they all just falter out by chapter 3. I'm just like, no, stop forgetting about us. I'm like, no, but you have so many boring skills coming out all of a sudden. Like, this modded version's just so much more fun. Like, no, but come back. Don't you want to do, like, 80 grind fights in a row in order to get everybody to their max weapon ranks and everything? Like, no. No, I'm good. I think I'll just start, like, 3 OV runs in that time. That arrow speed, though. It's so noticeable going back and forth between the two. One of those things, you know? Like, you go back to the original ones, like, okay, this is kind of slow, but I get it, you know, they need to save on time or frame rate, or just needed to show people where it's going, and then you go to this one, just like, all of a sudden, and then just like, see somebody flying off a cliff. Oh, it's hilarious. Okay, have Mr. Pokey Guy go here. I'm thinking probably down the road I'll leave Voltaire as my main knight, because I feel like one of them is oops, that was a dumb move. I feel like one of them is pretty much gonna get the job done in terms of keeping stuff supported. Maybe one or two. We'll see. But yeah, I'll probably turn those 2 knights into dragoons or something. I want to have 2 dragoons. I just like having them operate in pairs. Again, I know I say this over and over, but it's just... it's one of those one vision things, you know? You just work so much better here. Which, explain a little bit on that. Base game, you could have, you know, obviously you could go for the same thing of making formations or whatever else. But the differences between the two would end up becoming extraordinarily clear very quickly. Also, do I lose Chaos Frame with them for smacking away this dragon? I don't know. Maybe. It just says units, it doesn't say peoples. Guess they really care about those dragons. But no, actually come to think of it, does zombies count? I should ask. Ask Mr. Mod Wizard. But okay, so like you would go and early on, and this is why they always end up petering out by friggin' chapter 3. Early on you would, you know, set up a bunch of units and you'd have them in formations, and as long as you still have the, you know, the store providing you with new stuff, you could go relatively uniform with it. But once you started getting into unique items and everything else, it couldn't keep up anymore. You got to the point where you'd have, you know, you got one good drop for one person, and then suddenly they're just so much better than everybody else. Or early on you ran into a position where, you know, you ended up buying a wrong skill for somebody or something, and you hadn't saved in a while. Or, you know, you're doing an IM run or something. And then suddenly you're in a situation where you have one of your guys that's way behind everybody else. It doesn't really make sense to go and try to catch them up or anything. So, you know, suddenly it's this whole OCD nightmare where stuff is not lining up anywhere. All of your 3 identical units are now suddenly in different places. all of them are doing different stuff, and you'd think that would add personality or something, but it mostly just... I don't know, it was like just utter OCD rage is the only way I can describe it. Man. All I wanted was for these guys to all be able to do their jobs, but now one of them just sucks because of a misclick. So, you know, it's mostly stuff like you didn't go and buy Strengthen on somebody or something, and then you end up having to put Strengthen and True Strike on a bunch of people, and... One Vision. All that stuff is actually built into the characters. It's great. Are you watching this not playing it? I don't know. That's a question to ask yourself. And it's funny because I thought I was going to be leaving the thing behind for a little bit on a trip because I was going I was basically going off on a plane and kind of worried that the TSA would confiscate my PSP. It sounds like a weird thing, but I should point out the thing was basically rebuilt from spare parts, so it's like at 3000 it looks like it came out of Frankenstein's lab. Got like bolts sticking out of it and like literally screws sticking out was what it was looking like, so I was trying to repair the thing. And to some degree I actually succeeded, so... Basically the charging ports on it are still iffy, but then I found out that with the right CFW settings you can just basically use a old USB to charge it, so I can just bring a secondary cord and have it charge up just fine. The wonders of modding. Great. I'm an idiot. I'm just gonna freaking Captain Pants over here. Dang it. Alright, they've got no healing element anyway, so we might as well just pound on this guy. This is gonna potentially hurt Canopus, but whatever. He's fine, he can take it. He's just that sort of guy. Speed this up a little bit, because I kinda gotta get going here. But yeah, so I think I finally have it fixed up reasonably enough. It's actually funny, because I had this weird gash on there, on the screen of this thing, which was caused by, I think it was originally like a screwdriver. By the way, you may notice here that Shortbow can completely not get through his armor. So, mostly because this guy has built-in armor, because he's a plot character. He can't technically have that armor at this point, but it's fine. He's boosted. Point is, he's got defense. He needs to be pierced. So light weapons generally aren't going to do the job too well. You actually need heavy weapons in most cases to get through it. War bows and that kind of thing do a pretty okay job, because again, it's still just leather. If it was something like, you had some mail on there, if you had proper armor, then that wouldn't be the case. Oh well. To some degree anyway. There's exceptions and stat differences and whatever. I'm just going to shut up on all of that. Oh, point being. Scratch removal. Had a giant gash on there. It was one of those ones where it's like this weird shaving cut kind of thing from, like I said, I think like a screwdriver running into it. So, she had an idea last night of just like, I took my my knife. I had this old Kershaw that my brother gave me a while ago. And it's just basically one of these knives that pretty much never gets dull. It's pretty much a razor blade kind of flip knife kind of thing. So, goodbye. Yeah, you are. Get lost. The point being, I just had this idea of just, you know, it's technically sticking out, so I go and I take the kind of rounded edge on the thing, you know, run it across the screen a few times, then run a, basically just shave off the extra bits. Good on you, Sistina. Go ahead and join us or something. War sucks. Let's not have it. Go over here and get cutscenes, but we already saw these cutscenes, so we're moving on. Yes, yes. Not now, Cashua. How about you just don't talk? Sounds sexist, but he's just unfortunate. But yeah, no. So yeah, kind of shaved it with a knife. Went at it with a old pen eraser, with the white part of a pen eraser, to get all the little bits and pieces off. Went and wiped it down with a cloth and alcohol to get some little fragments off, and to potentially melt down some of the little excess parts. and then finally tried the whole toothpaste thing just kind of for the hell of it to see if it would make it shiny, and it did. So long story short, this giant gash that was all distracting and made it practically unusable got turned into a pretty basic sized scratch, which was a lot better to look at. Any darn ways. That'll be that for this part. I'm probably going to come back to this at the end of Chapter 1, and see you then.